And then we're going to Chris in Minnesota. Well, at least I thought I was going to Chris. Let me try that button again. Chris in Minnesota. Chris, I think it connected. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. How may we help you, my friend?
Uh, okay, thanks for taking my call, Dr. Beam.
Okay.
I'm from Michigan too, so.
Oh, it says Minnesota on my
But,
screen here. So
um,
therefore, you have to move. My screen can't be wrong. So you're
okay, I do.
okay. All right, Michigan. How may we help you,
um,
Chris?
let me explain. I guess a little backstory here. I've been married for 13 years. We've been
Mm-hmm.
together for 20, high school sweethearts. And about 4 months ago, kind of blindsided where my wife's always been kind of a bottler of emotions. And supposedly she was going through some stuff in our marriage that just kind of overbearingness and this and that. That
Mm-hmm.
little things I think could have been worked out with talking, but like I say, she's kind of buries her emotions, doesn't like conflict, and kind of blindsided me with basically waking up one day and saying she's not in love with me anymore and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to be with me and got to make a decision of, we have two young kids,
Mm-hmm.
two young boys,
Mm-hmm.
and wants to try to make it work for them. And it's been a process for the last 4 months of basically trying to live together, coexist, co-parent in our house.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like through this whole process, of course, I'm heartbroken and I want
Yeah.
nothing more. I've told her, I'm here for you. I support you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always here for you. So let's just try to work this out.
Mm-hmm.
And after looking at some of your courses and this, I think at the beginning, it didn't start out too well where I, probably tried to, talk to her more than maybe what I should have about this,
Mm-hmm.
and seemed to push a little bit, I think her away and from not wanting to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an emotional affair that I found out about a month into this. And
Okay.
ever since that, it has been physically and emotionally kind of cut off between me and her. She's on separate floors, living on a separate floor. We don't sleep together. Like I say, she was my best friend doing everything together. And now, we have no outside life together. We don't really do stuff. We're
Mm-hmm.
just basically co-parenting.
Okay.
And it seems like over the course of the last few months, whenever we try to talk, I kind of live by the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated, and this and
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of hate, I think, and a lot of guilt in her heart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know this 100%, but
Mm-hmm.
how she talks and how she treats me, it's a lot of disrespect. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's 180 degrees difference from the person I knew. So it's
Okay.
hard to live with that. And I've been very positive and been trying to do that. It just seems like recently it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering. I want to be with my wife. I want to keep my family whole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to see what are good ways to do that when it seems like all you get is negativity every day. And
Yeah, that's got to be tough. I know it is.
yeah, it is. It is.
So here's the question, my friend. When people want out of a relationship, it's either because of the fact that things are happening within the relationship that we call pushes. Every marriage has some push. So no, we're not talking about minor inconveniences and I don't like this, I don't like. We look for things like, is there something going on that's so big that I just really want to get away from this? And that typically becomes things like, I feel like I'm being dominated or controlled, or I feel like I'm completely being ignored or taken advantage of, or it can even be abuse. Like I feel like I'm being verbally, mentally, emotionally, or even physically abused. But we look for things like, is there a big enough push here, a really big push inside the relationship where the person wants out of it because they're thinking, being out of it, I'd be happier than being in it because this is miserable for me. Then the other thing we look at is, are there pulls out there? Okay. Now, you said she had an emotional affair. You heard about that. That's definitely a pull. That's a pull that will pull a person out of a relationship. That kind of thing will. The stronger the push there is within a relationship, the less power the pull has to have. The better the relationship is, the stronger and better it is, the more powerful that pull has to be to pull them out. Now, she was in the emotional affair. My understanding from you is that that's ended at this point. Is that your understanding, that it's over?
Yes, that there was with someone that we knew, and it was more on her part
Okay.
than his, and he didn't want it, and luckily he knew us, and
Okay.
that was kind of never went anywhere. My worry is, of course, in my head that happened once. She tried it.
Hmm.
Luckily, it was with someone we knew, but and she's had
Okay.
a big transformation of her change in appearance and everything. So it's
Okay.
it's just things that play in your head, I guess, of
Well,
what you work
that
out.
can be a pretty powerful thing. As far as you know, is there some big push? If I were to talk to her, if she and I were sitting over coffee somewhere and I were asking her, okay, tell me about things with Chris. Is there anything in the relationship with Chris that you just feel is a big push pushing you away from him? Would there be one? Would she tell me something? If so, what would she say?
Currently, it's maybe once every couple weeks or every 3 weeks. I try to kind of get a feeling of where she's at, how are things
Hmm.
going. It seems like things are going great,
Hmm.
and just want to and she
But,
does not
but
want to talk about
but I'm
anything.
asking
And from
about
day one, does not
before.
want to talk about.
I'm talking about 2 or 3 months ago, before you found out all this stuff was going on. What would she have said then?
I guess you could say that a little overbearing or controlling. That's how it kind of started. That she
Okay.
thought,
And is that
I
correct?
can be a little overbearing.
Are you sometimes overbearing and controlling, my
I
friend?
I don't really I don't really see it, but I guess with certain incidences, maybe a little bit. I mean, I
Hmm.
might with we're with a group of friends and we want to go out to dinner or something. I
Hmm.
might want to voice my opinion more than I guess it's one of those. Yeah, I try to get my way
Okay.
more than others, but
Well,
I've
if that's the
definitely
case,
changed that, and it's nuts up. Yeah.
mhm. If that's the case, my friend, here's my strong recommendation to you. If she feels controlled and dominated, even if you don't intend it, you see, we often look at how is it affecting the other person? No matter what my motivation is, how is it affecting the other person? Now, I'm not talking about a false affectation where a person's pretending, oh, he's overbearing, and that is an excuse they use to get away from you. I'm not talking about that. But if a person really feels that way, then what we strongly recommend is if that's how you're coming across to him or to her, we're talking now to the whole big audience here, that I'm being controlling, I'm being dominated, whatever else it might be, if that's how they're perceiving it, rather than defending yourself, rather than saying, well, I only did that a little, or she shouldn't react that strongly, our recommendation is the first step that you do is to examine yourself and go, is there something there I really need to change? Is there something I need to be less intense about? Is there something I need to understand about the other person? So rather than defending ourselves, as I started this program back, 40 minutes ago, as I started this program 40 minutes ago, I was talking about the 3 different couples. I talked about 2 recently, and they weren't really hearing what the other person was feeling. And so if a person's feeling that they're being dominated or that you're being overbearing, they may manifest that in different ways. They may argue about, you just talk too much when we're out with other people, or you seem to always want to get your way. And you say, well, that just gives me everything in a nutshell, right? No, what you really want to get to is what they feel. And if you can say, sometimes I think I probably do that. If you think I do, then surely I do. What kind of emotions are you feeling when that happens? If they say things like, I feel disrespected. Now, he said he felt disrespected. I get it. But if she were to say, I feel disrespected, or I feel as if I'm not important, or I feel as if I'm being treated as a child, if you can get down to those things and understand those emotions, you're beginning to understand why somebody would want to be out of the relationship. Now, that understanding doesn't automatically fix it, but that understanding is the first thing that has to happen if you're going to figure out how to fix it. Because if that's the effect I'm having on another person, then I'm going to have to do something different. You say, well, why doesn't the other person change? The only person I can control is me. That's the only person, and that's the one we recommend.